it. Yes, we're joined now by Ireland's fastest man on four wheels who's accelerating towards a career in Formula One.
Now, before we chat to motor racing driver Alex Dunne, let's take a look at him in action.
It's going to be Alex Dunne in the orange MP down the inside of Nicholas Solov. So that will be a point for Irish driver Alexander Dunne.
He's so clear, he's 7.5 seconds clear. It's been another dominant weekend, and Alex Dunne wins round 9.
Wow, that is so major. Congratulations, first of all. But you're Irish. How do you get into the career of motor racing?
Well, I think originally my dad was a racing driver, so I think kind of from the age of 4 or 5, I was always at the tracks with him. You know, I used to always, when I was younger, I used to really enjoy watching him racing, and I remember, you know, the memories where my dad would bring me around on his lap in his car, and kind of, you know, those memories as a kid, and I knew at the time that there was a possibility of starting really young. So I asked my dad, could we give it a try, and could we try karting? And then from the minute I sat in a go-kart, I loved it.
So it's from karting, and that's how the progression goes. So you were the Formula 4 champion, I think, back in 2022. You're now up into the Formula 3, and you've just signed for McLaren's driver development programme. That's pretty epic, isn't it?
Huge.
Tell us, like, what's the differences between the different formulas? So you're going 4 to 3 and hopefully up to 1.
So the main difference is kind of the speed in each one. So obviously you have, you know, the engines through each category, you get a lot quicker. So straight line speed is a lot quicker. Also then for somebody who doesn't really understand when looking at a car, you have what you see on a car, you have the front and the rear wing, which is what generates downforce, which basically determines how quick you are through the corners. So each category has more and more downforce, which basically just means you're quicker through the corners. So there's quite a lot of things to adapt to as you come up through the ranks. It gets quicker and quicker. Physically, it gets a lot more demanding. So I think as you come up through the ranks, there's quite a lot of changes.
There's so many different elements to racing in general. Like, we know about G-force and how you have to strengthen your neck, and we're getting to see a lot more of that through the Drive to Survive programme. But there's so much more behind it, and McLaren is such a well-known car brand, and to see Lando Norris doing so well and a lot of their people coming up, how does it feel to be in those circles? It
is something that's pretty special. You know, I think, of course, as well, when I announced that I was a part of the McLaren Driver Development Programme, it was, I think, 2 or 3 days after McLaren and Lando had won in Miami. So I think it was pretty much perfect timing. So I think, yeah, you know, especially being so young and having the opportunity to be a part of a team like McLaren and being the only Irish driver at this level is something that's quite special.
Have you met Lando Norris and Zach and all the drivers?
As a prize for winning British F1 in 2022, I got to spend, before I was a part of McLaren, I got to spend the weekend with them in Silverstone last year, kind of being in their engineering room and seeing what it's like basically behind the scenes of an F1 weekend. So it was kind of a
How
kind of
amazing
a funny coincidence.
is it? Like, because we see Drive to Survive, we see what we think is behind the scenes. But actually, do we get to see, like, do you agree with Drive to Survive? Because it's been a phenomenon for Formula One.
Yeah.
But actually, does it give us the real insight what it's really like?
I think it's hard to say. You know, I think in some aspects, yes, of course, you see a lot more, but then I guess, you know, it can be a bit of TV, so kind of maybe in some aspects as well, it kind of maybe shows the wrong side of the sport in some ways as well. But I think, no, for sure, to get people who don't really have a whole lot of understanding of what motorsport really is, I think it's good to bring people in.
So if people aren't really into the actual sport itself, but more into just the drama that it creates.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, even myself, when I've watched all of them pretty much the first day they came out each time, and they do make it a little bit more probably dramatic than what it really is. But I think, no, for sure, to bring people in who want to understand exactly sponsors as well. You know, I think the publicity for drivers is quite a big thing. So for sure, it helps a lot.
Definitely. I mean, for popularity reasons, and then they get into the sport and then they'll follow you forever, hopefully. And we had a zoom in on your helmet there, which you said your father was a racing driver. So tell us a bit more about the design of the helmet.
Yeah, so originally, like I said, my dad was a racing driver, and his design is kind of something that I always always liked when I was younger. And then when I first started, my helmet was pretty much a carbon copy of exactly what he had. And then kind of as I got older, I kind of wanted to change it and have kind of my own design, but incorporated with his as well. So as I've got a bit older, we've kind of just made a few tweaks here and there, but it's very, very similar to what he had.
Give us an idea of the training, the level, because everybody sees you out racing and all over the world, but like, what is the fitness levels like to get to Formula 3?
It's
at particularly the age of 18, like you're still a young guy.
It is pretty physically demanding. I think the races are 45 minutes long. You can lose up to 1 kilo in sweat just in the race, depending on how hot it is wherever we race. You pull anywhere from, let's say, 3 to 4G through the corners, which is really, really high. So you really need to have a strong neck, strong core, shoulders, arms, everything. So I think physically, even cardio fitness as well. Yeah. And you also need to have good mental fitness.
That there is Barcelona, that VT, where you podiumed. You actually came second, was it?
I did, yeah.
How did that feel?
It's quite a special feeling. I think especially on the weekends of F1, when you know that there's, of course, being a part of McLaren now, but when you're racing on the F1 weekends, all the F1 drivers are there, everyone's watching. There's so many fans as well on the F1 weekends, which is pretty special. And to be the only Irish driver, I remember on the main straight up to the left, there was a big Irish flag there. So seeing that was really nice.
That must have been amazing. Now, Silverstone was last weekend. It didn't go so well for you. You unfortunately had a crash in that. But look at that.
Scary.
It is. And you're still in one piece, all fine after that?
I'm all good, yeah.
Glad to hear it. What is the future for you? You won Formula 4 2 years ago. You're now Formula 3. You're on the podium. What's the dream?
Well, of course, the main goal for me is to be in Formula 1 and to be a Formula 1 world champion. That's kind of what I'm working towards. I think I kind of have the typical attitude of I want to win. So I think the ideal kind of path, if all goes well and we can get everything together, ideally would be to do F2 next year in 2025. And then hopefully by the end of 2026 to be ready for F1.
I think you've every chance of doing that. You're
Any
incredible.
Chance we
Well
can come
done.
along and watch?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's been great talking to you.
Alex Dunne, unbelievable. FIA Formula 3 driver, now at the McLaren as well. It's very, very exciting. Good on you.
Hello.
Very
Hello.
cool,
Was
isn't
I
it?
chatting to your dad? Getting all the lowdown.
You should see her driving. I tell you, she give you a run for your money.